Hey there, happy Wednesday, Saints. Pastor Dave here with another weekly devotional, and again, it's going to be based on a C.S. Lewis reading from this one from Mere Christianity, and it's about the topic of right and wrong. Whenever you find a man who says he does not believe in a real right and wrong, you will find the same man going back on this a moment later. He may break his promise to you, but if you try breaking one to him, he'll be complaining it's not fair before you can say Jack Robinson. A nation may say treaties don't matter, but then next minute they spoil their case by saying the particular treaty they want to break was an unfair one. But if treaties do not matter, and if there's no such thing as right and wrong, in other words, there's no law of nature, what is the difference between a fair treaty and an unfair one? Have they not let the cat out of the bag and shown that whatever else they say, they really know the law of nature just like anyone else? It seems then we're forced to believe in a real right and wrong. People may sometimes be mistaken about them, just as people sometimes get their sums wrong, but they're not a matter of mere taste and opinion any more than the multiplication table. You know, in modern philosophical terms, the idea that Lewis is trying to correct here is what we call moral relativism. And you may not be familiar with that phrase, but you are familiar with that idea. You've heard this said by people, you may have said it yourself, that what's true for you may not be true for me, and what's right for you may not be right for me. In the differences between our circumstances and our particular situations, the correct moral action that you choose, is up to you, but doesn't mean that that's the same for me. Moral relativism, the idea that ethics are relative to the people and the situations involved. And the alternative to that is what Lewis is describing here, moral absolutism. That what is true is always true, what is right is always right, and it does not change, it does not vary based on the person. It's sometimes hard for us to make that claim and to want to follow through on it. But the alternative, the relativism, as Lewis points out, has a really fatal logical flaw in that we don't ever operate that way. We don't truly think that everyone can make up their own moral code and follow it and not step on anyone else's toes. And at the base level, we all sort of agree to the idea that we should not upset each other. We should not infringe upon each other's freedom. We should not harm each other by the exercise of our own choices. But if we all agree on that, then that is a moral stance that is absolute, that does not change. Lewis says that everywhere that you look, if you press someone on what they think of as a relative moral truth, you'll find that they really do want everyone else to operate the same way. You'll find that if you say, I don't believe in fairness, and it doesn't matter whether this action is fair or not, we'll do something unfair and see how long it takes them to complain. If you say, I don't believe in personal property, I don't believe in being able to own things, well, take something of theirs and see how long it takes them to complain. We all do have an idea of what right and wrong are, and there's a whole lot more overlap and commonality in those ideas than I think we assume first off. But if we think that God has created this universe, God has imbued it with an order and a kind of a moral authority, then we all should be playing by the same rules. So friends, I guess what I'm saying is don't be afraid to believe that God has created a right and a wrong that are always true, that are always applicable. Don't be afraid to hold others accountable to that, and don't be surprised if they want to hold you accountable to it. Saints, that's your devotional for this week, and I hope it's helpful. Hope it gives you something to think about, and I hope you are doing well. I'll talk to you again soon.